Hello everyone, it's Gary Mills here, back in my studio. What have I been doing? I've been making bunting, but I've been making really easy bunting. I don't know about you, but I get a bit fed up of sewing each little triangle out and trying to pull them through. So I've made this really easy little nifty tiny mini bunting that I thought we could put up in our windows and out in the streets. Both I've got multicoloured rainbow bunting. I've made some red, white and blue for VE Day on Friday as well. So watch this and I'll show you how to make it. You will need some paper to make your pattern with. I'm using old envelope paper to make the pattern. You'll need a ruler for measuring. You'll need a pair of scissors, paper scissors, and a pencil or a biro. Next, you'll need to think about what fabric you're going to make your bunting from. So if you're going to make the red, white and blue bunting, obviously you need some fabric in those colours, but it doesn't have to be necessarily block colours. It can be patterned colours as well. Similar for the rainbow flags or the bunting, you can make that out of any fabric that you can get your hands on that have similar colours to those. You can also go for a colour theme, so maybe it's red and white, so you could use red and white gingham, a block red, red and white stripe and red and white stars, and that would make quite nice bunting as well. And the other idea that I thought everyone could possibly, if they didn't have any fabric lying around at home necessarily enough, they could actually have a look at the clothes that they've probably sorted out for the jumble sale. And here I've sorted out some shirts that are going to go to into the jumble, and I can cut shapes from these shirts, and then I've teamed that up with a bit of fabric also. I'm going to put that to one side. You also need something to actually put the bunting on, so some sort of tape, something like that. So you could use, if you have any, some bias tape. So you might have some bias binding. I usually get this from a haberdashery shop. If you haven't got any bias binding, you might have some ribbon. So you could use some ribbon, and you could just put fold the ribbon over in half, and you could put the bunting through that. If you haven't got any ribbon, you could even use string. So if you looked at string, you could actually then maybe just fold your bunting over on the string and attach it, and you could have the string to use for your bunting also. I'm going to make some tape, so I'm going to use just a strip of this old bit of white sheeting, and I'm going to cut strips from that, and I'll show you that in a moment. Other equipment you will need. You're going to need some sort of pins to actually hold your bunting in place while you either attach it to your piece of tape. You can use pins, but you can, if you haven't got any pins, you could use some paper clips, or you could also use some bulldog clips also. You'll need some scissors, some fabric scissors this time. So you'll need some fabric scissors, and you might need some small scissors if you're using thread for cutting. You'll need to, I've just mentioned thread. You'll need to, if you're going to sew, you'll need some needle and thread for sewing. But you don't have to sew the bunting onto the tape. What you could use a stapler. So you could staple the bunting along the tape if you wanted to. Or you could use some glue, and you could use glue to actually glue it onto the tape, as long as you left it enough time to dry. So they're the things that you're going to need. To cut the pattern for the bunting, you need to decide what size you want your bunting to be. So the two sizes that I've made are these two. So the red, white and blue one is in this one, and the rainbow one is this one. You could go a little bit smaller, and you could go a little bit bigger if you wanted to. This side here, this size is 3 centimeters by 7 centimeters, or that's 2 1/4 wide at the top by 3 inches long. This one is 8 centimeters wide by 10 centimeters long, and that is 3 1/2 inches by 4 inches long. Now, to get a nice equal sort of triangle, what we're going to do first of all is we're just going to cut out one bunting piece. I'm going to use this size. So if we take a piece of paper and we fold it in half, and then we're going to do a bit of measuring. So what we're going to do is we're going to measure half of the width. So if this is 8 centimeters wide, or 3 1/2 inches, we're going to measure half that distance. So in this case, and I use centimeters, is going to be 4 centimeters wide. Now the depth is 10 centimeters long, or 4 inches long. So if we measure the 10 centimeters and make another mark, if we join the two marks up along the diagonal there, we should have the same size as that one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut that out, our bunting piece. That's how it's going to finish up. So if we're happy with that, we want to go ahead, what we need to do next is to make the actual full size pattern so that we're able to fold it in on itself so that we don't have to do any sewing. So to do that, what we're first of all we're going to do is we just post it that way. If we just fold the bottom of a nice piece of paper or an envelope, a nice straight edge, we're just going to fold that up by, that's going to be just under, sort of like, let me just do that again, it's going to be 1/2 centimetre, or in inches it's going to be, turn it up to about 1/8 of an inch. Okay, then fold it in half again, but fold it so that you're folding along this side here. Then fold your this side over to there. I'll do that again. So first of all, you're going to fold up the bottom, then you're going to fold the piece of paper in half. Then you're going to join the folded corner to that side like so. So you should have a piece that looks like that. Now take your first triangle and just lay it over the top like that. Line it up so that you've got it matching. Then just draw a line across there. If it's a little bit wobbly, you can just square it up and then just cut that off. That should give you the same size triangle. If we open this out, we've got our pattern piece. So you get your fabric. You might want to fold your fabric over several times. You might be able to cut out a few in one go. But I'm going to just show you just the demonstration for cutting out. So you've got your pattern piece, lay it on the fabric. Think about what direction you're going to lay this pattern out. That's a nice straight edge there. So if you think about the way the grain of the fabric runs, you need to lay it down on top of the grain here. So you could lay it on the straight grain that way, or you could lay it on the straight grain going that way. Try to avoid laying it on angles and things like that. If you can possibly just get it nicely, it just makes your life easier and it stops the bunting warping. So lay it down, pin it in place. You might want to draw around it, but you can pin it in place, and then you're going to cut it out with some nice sharp scissors. You're going to cut out as many as you can, depending on how much bunting you're going to make. But try and cut out equal quantities of each colour. It just makes it easier when you're assembling it. So I'm going to just bring out a piece that I've already cut here. So there's a cut shape. Now what we're going to use is we're going to use an iron to actually crease it and press it and put it in place. So I'm going to just put this on a little pad to iron on. Obviously you could just use your ironing board, and again I'm going to use I've got a small little travel iron here, but you could use something, obviously your own iron that you've got with a little bit of steam helps as well. Right, first of all, we're going to, like we did with the paper, we're going to just fold over the bottom either 1/8 of an inch or 1/2 centimetre, and we're just going to then just give it a press. So I'm just going to press it with the iron and get that to stay in place. So we've put a crease along the bottom. Next we're going to fold it in half. So just fold that piece in half, and we're just going to just give it a crease just down there, and then we're going to open it up again out the way. Okay, next we're then going to fold this to the center of that crease. So we're folding over that side, and we're just going to give that a little press also just there, and then we're going to fold this side over to the central crease on that side. Just hold it in place with your fingers and then give it a nice little press with the iron. Should have noted that. Then you fold the two together and you fold it that way. There you are. And there's one piece of bunting done. So next you need to make your tape, or you might have your tape. So if you're not using some bias tape to put your bunting on, you can make your own. So from some old sheet or strips of fabric, what you can do is you can actually draw a 4 centimetre line or strip running along the grain of the fabric. So 4 centimeters is roughly going to be about 1.5, no, nearly 1 3/4 inches wide along some fabric. Cut that strip off, so you end up with a piece of strip of fabric like that. And again, you can press this with the iron to make your tape. So what you really want to do is you want to fold in the raw edges into the middle. So if you think about it's 4 centimeters, then you're going to fold in 1 centimeter each side. So fold up 1 centimeter and then press along the length of the fabric there. Press the other side like that. It's very simple. So you've got your tape and it's actually pressed both sides, and then you can turn that over and press one more time, and that'll give you a lovely piece of tape that you can use to insert your bunting in. I'll just do a little bit more up here. That should be enough for me to demonstrate with. So once you've got your tape like that, you need to think about how you're going to put, in what sequence you're going to put your pieces of bunting. Now I've got the bunting here, so I'm going to show you the red, white and blue one. So I'm going to do blue, white, red, and then start the sequence again, blue, white, red. Now obviously you'll need to probably make lots of these strips and then join them up, so depending on how much bunting you've made. But the idea is that you first of all give yourself enough at the end of the bunting, because you're going to be tying that round something. So start from maybe, let's measure that. Let's have a look. So I'd say at least like 16 centimeters or about 6 inches, and then make a start. So you can always put a pin just to think where your first piece of bunting is going to go. So if you line your bunting up and you trap it on that piece of tape there, and then fold your bunting down, and you can always hold it in place with a pin just to keep that from falling out. If you haven't got a pin, remember you can use a bulldog clip or you can use a paper clip to hold that. Then you're going to then put your second piece of bunting into your tape. Now the distance between these ones, I was going to use 6 centimeters, which is in inches is 2.5 inches. So again, then you're going to insert that into there, put a pin in and hold it. Then you're going to move along, and you're then going to insert in the next 6 centimeters. You'll then insert the next one. I'll move that across a little bit there, and then you'll repeat the whole thing again. So just keep going, pinning and holding in place as you go along. Then once you've got enough tape and all your pieces, all your bunting flags in place, then you need to think about how you're going to permanently put them on there. Now as I said, what you could do is you could actually put 2 staples each side there. Staple there, staple there, staple, staple. You could glue all this in. So you could run a little bit of PVA glue around along the tape and insert your flags, and they could be put in place as well. You just probably would have to keep the pins or some bulldog clips or that to hold it in place while it dries overnight, so that it all stays in place. But I'm going to just use a needle and thread, and I'm going to just stitch through a running stitch all the way through the flag and the tape, and just hold that in place. Nice neat running stitch. You could use a sewing machine if you've got one, and then that will all be in place. This bit is probably what's going to take the time, but we've got enough time at the moment, haven't we? So we might as well just sit there and sew our bunting together and do that. So you're going to get to that point. I'll show you what it's like when it's all finished. Thank you. Well, that's it. Hopefully you're going to start making loads and loads of bunting ready for Thursday and Friday. If you like this video, please press the like button. If you'd like to share this video, please share with anyone that would like to have a go. And if you want to say thank you, you can buy me a coffee. So if you go to www.buymeacoffee.com/Gary Mills Design, you can buy me a coffee, and that'd be really nice. Thank you very much. Bye bye.